Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hopefully you're having a wonderful day. Today we're here with a video comparing 2014, 2018, and 2022 Prizm in regard to parallels, one-of-ones, all that good stuff. Really sort of answering the question, at least on a small scale, of how overprinted have things become, or at least how diluted have the chase cards become. Sort of a question everyone wonders and ponders about, but really hard to quantify, and here today we're going to at least take a step towards that. But of course, this is just one product. Prizm itself is not perfect in the sense that it only releases every 4 years, so while it is sort of a hobby staple, it's not the year-in, year-out release that people are looking forward to like it is in some other sports. So I do feel like Prizm is sort of lacking in that regard. And soccer in general, I mean, unless you have the Champions League license, it's really hard to do something like that. So getting on into it, we'll look at the amount of parallels printed each year to start, and then we'll look at particular players and how many parallels they have in each year as well. So we'll just be looking at the base set to start. 2014 is relatively simple if you actually, follow the setup, but you can probably name them all, which is, at least to my estimation, a good way to sort of recognize if the set, the parallels, all that are meaningful. If you can remember all of them, well then, at least it's easy enough. As we'll come to see in 2022, not really the case, but back in 2014, short enough list to be able to remember. So we have the blue at 199, then we have the red out of 149, we have the purple out of 99, we then have the green crystals out of 25, pretty big drop off from one to the other. We'll talk about some others that weren't released in packs here in a second. There are the golds out of 10, the gold powers out of 5, and then you have the black 1-of-1, along with some others that were not released in packs. So these are national releases here. This Luis Suarez out of 55, blue pulsar. You have the Father's Day out of 7, limited edition, and then you have the El Samba 1-of-1 that was an online auction. So, I mean, whether or not you want to count the final 3, up to you in terms of how you see it. I'm going to add them in just for the numbers here. So, all in all, that brings us to a total of 551 across the set. So that is sort of the benchmark going forward. In 2018, we start with the blue and the red yet again, out of 199, out of 149. Beyond that, we have the blue laser out of 125. You then have the purple out of 99. The orange out of 65, the pink laser out of 40, the green crystal out of 25, the camo out of 20, the Cyrillic out of like 15 to 20, it's a case hit. You have the gold laser out of 15, you have the gold out of 10, you have the pink, which was a national release again, out of 8, then you have gold power out of 5, the blue shimmer out of 5 as well, and finally the black 1-of-1. All in all, that gives us a total of 784 from 2014 to 2018, so not too big of an increase. And then in 2022, so this is notable in the sense that Prizm does release 3 different products. There's sort of the normal product, there's probably a name for it, but I'm not familiar. Then you have Choice, and you also have Breakaways. So there's 3 different lines of the product, some being worth more than others, but ultimately we will add them all up here. So for some reason I'm working backwards on this one. I already deleted them all. I can't be bothered. But starting with the 1-of-1s, there is a pretty jarring thing going on here, which is that you have one 1-of-1, a second 1-of-1, a third 1-of-1, and yes, a fourth 1-of-1. So we went from 1-of-1 to 4 1-of-1s just in the base checklist alone. Now, of course, different products, whatever, all that jazz, all still Prizm 2022 World Cup. Beyond that, you have green breakaway out of 5, blue shimmer out of 5, gold out of 10, gold breakaway out of 10, maroon out of 22. There is actually one missing in this bunch. If you can name it, I'll be super impressed. There's an orange out of 25. We have I think that's purple breakaway, purple mojo, blue breakaway. I mean, I'm just going to start going. Like, you can see. It's a bunch of random colors mixed with breakaway, choice, base, whatever it may be. So it's sort of all over the place, at least to my estimation. The red and the blue actually might be swapped up here. I'm not quite certain, but, who really cares? Grand point being, this is a lot. So, like I mentioned, there was one missing. If you haven't found it already, it was a pink mojo out of 11. I couldn't find any of them anywhere, so I don't know. But I'm going to assume that exists, and I added it in for the total amount of numbered cards, which equals 1826. One thing I will say, even beyond the massive increase of the numbers itself, I mean, if you put this whole thing together, it wouldn't even look good to me. Like if you saw someone's wall and they had every player or every card of a single player, it just wouldn't look good at all. With this sort of setup, at least for me, I would understand collecting a parallel and then a team or a set more so than, collecting the rainbow of a player, because honestly they look terrible together. Just something I think is moderately important. Now I do think that at the same time they are different releases, so like maybe you're not supposed to collect them all together, I guess, but if you decided to, I just think it'd be rough. Nonetheless, there are some added items to sort of take note of. These are the choice releases, also the white sparkle, just some other base cards that are unnumbered but are worth quite a bit because they are rare, right? The animal prints are sort of just a sought-after chase in general amongst other sports, so I felt it was worthwhile at least noting that they also exist but are not counted in this list. All in all, that brings us for the totals of the base set parallels to 551 for 2014, 784 for 2018, which was an increase of 233 over the 4-year stretch, and then in 2022 we have 1826, which is an increase of 1,042 from the prior World Cup, somewhere along the lines of like 150% increase in terms of total numbered cards. So from 2014 to 2018, almost a 4x in total, which is pretty sizable. I also wanted to check in terms of players, how many parallels they have each year across all the different cards that are within these sets. So for 2014, Messi, we have 551, 488 on the matchups, 488 on the World Cup stars, 27 on his signatures, and 488 on the net finders. In total, that was 2,042 numbered parallel cards, and 7 of those of which were 1/1s. In 2018, a little different here, you have 961, so quite a bit of a drop in terms of total numbered cards. They didn't really print as many parallels of some of the other inserts and autographs and all that jazz. They also did introduce other cards that were chases like national landmarks, which can take a little bit of that hype away. Or at least distribute it elsewhere. In total here, though, 961 parallels and 4 1/1s, so at least from that perspective, not a considerable boost from 2014, 2018. Actually, a pretty good year in total, especially, 4 1/1s is pretty low, as we'll come to see once we go to 2022. So in 2022, Messi comes to a total of 2,008 serial numbered cards, most of which, again, are in the base set. They don't really have a ton of serial numbered non-base cards. The inserts basically only get out of 10s, out of 5s, out of 1s, stuff like that. Same with the autos. And that ends at a total of 2,008 serial numbered cards, 13 of which are 1/1s. That's a much more favorable sort of approach when you're comparing total numbered cards, in the sense that, this Messi, 2,042 in 2014 to in 2022, only 2,008. So it actually went down over the 8 years. But at the same time, you do have to consider that there are a lot more of low numbered parallels. As I mentioned, basically all of these have out of 10s, out of 5s, out of 1s, but they don't have anything higher. So the low numbered stuff still does exist in good number. As you can see, 13 1/1s, they're clearly understanding that, maybe we produce less of the junk parallels, but then more of the good stuff, and that will sort of, be able to hide where the value is in a way, or at least, make them more sought after. 2022, you also have Color Wheel. You have sort of the chase cards that aren't parallels, which, is an innovation all of its own, so you do have that going for you. But, generally, I'm impressed. I guess to some extent, in terms of the base cards, it is absolutely brutal. Maybe in terms of some of the inserts and other stuff like that, that could be a bit more of a chase. I don't know. The base cards being at 1,800 for me, it's just really tough. Again, I don't know, just looking at this picture and taking it in, it looks disgusting, if I'm being honest. And to think that this is probably only going to get worse as we head towards 2026 makes me a little concerned in terms of, the base parallels and what really we're doing there. Maybe, at least for me, this is sort of eye-opening in the sense that, maybe some of the insert cards are a little bit cooler, because back in the day, the net finders, there's out of like 200 net finders just sitting around everywhere. Meanwhile, in modern day 2022, you don't have that for the parallels, which is, kind of a fun added chase. But yeah, that's it for me today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and got something out of it. If you did, would love to hear your thoughts down below in a comment. Leave a like if you like. If you want to see more videos as soon as I go live, make sure to subscribe. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.